Well, welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. It's the conscious business show where we connect the heart, the mind to the wallet. And we have a wonderful team with us today, Brittany, DeJean, and Kirk Mangels. Brittany is CEO and founder of Able Thrive, which is a wonderful organization. It's a one-stop platform for people with disabilities and their families. She's done a fabulous job of looking at life skills, parenting, relationships, activities, travel, really being the one-stop source to educate, to motivate, and to keep people enthused on their journey. And Kirk has actually producer and director of a very interesting documentary that we'll be talking about called Resolution, Innovative Thinking About Disability, and where Kirk and Brittany's paths crossed and why, and how their work together is really making an impact and a change in so many people's lives. So welcome, both Brittany and Kirk. Wonderful to have you with us today on our show.
Sure. Thanks. So really this all started for me when I was 12 years old. In 1998, my dad and my younger brother were in a car accident. My brother was killed instantly, and my dad broke his neck, which left him quadriplegic. And basically, so my dad is paralyzed from the chest down, and he can't move his fingers. But the thing that we had in our favor is that we lived an hour away from one of the top spinal cord injury hospitals in the entire country. So despite the fact that we had no clue and no experience on anything really about disability or adapting, we had all of a sudden mentors and resources that basically taught us that we were going to be able to, reestablish a normal as a family, which is what we did. So my dad lives independently. He works full time. He drives himself to work every day, danced with me at my wedding, things that most people, when I tell them that, are surprised to hear.
Sure.
But when I was about 20 years old, I was studying abroad, and I was exploring the lives of people with disabilities in China, and came upon one man in particular that stuck with me, who had also broken he broke his back, but he had more physical mobility than my dad, and could move more of his body. So I assumed, looking at him, that he'd get on the same track and be able to reestablish his life the way my dad had. But when I actually finally spoke to him, he told me that he would spend the rest of his life in bed. And he wasn't even questioning that. And that was the first time that I was forced to look back at my family situation, and I saw that basically the question I found myself asking is, who would I be today had I been born, in the middle of Wyoming or the middle of some other place where I wasn't so close to a hospital?
Mm-hmm.
And why didn't we think that my dad wouldn't spend the rest of his life in bed?
Right.
And basically realized that what we had at our disposal was just because of where we lived. But by then, the internet proved to be, something that we could explore to make this more accessible for people no matter where they lived. And so the seed for what ultimately has become Able Thrive was planted back in 2006, when I had this kind of moment of obligation, like, if we do this right, we can make these resources accessible for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, fast forward through a lot of different things, but ultimately a couple of years ago, I quit my job and decided that I really wanted to make this happen, that if I didn't go after it and try to make it happen, that I wasn't going to do it.
And Kirk, talk to us a little bit about what excited you about what Brittany's doing with Able Thrive and how this fit into this whole resolution, innovative thinking about disability and the project that you produced and directed.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to AT&T and their social responsibility arm. I had made a few docs for AT&T and DirecTV, and a couple of them did have a social issue angle. So they came to me and they said, we'd like to do another one, but we don't know what we want to do it about. And I said, well, would you like to do it about things that AT&T is doing that are cool, and let's bring more attention to it? Or would you like me to find some things that it would be cool if AT&T got involved with? And they said, well, we'd like to do both. And I thought that was probably the best answer that I could expect.
Yeah.
So we began this endeavor. And one of the things we said was that these stories, they wouldn't be something that we could Google, that we would have to do some real research to find out what meaningful stories are in this particular space. And through doing my research, and yes, I did use Google, but eventually I got to a deeper level of things, and that brought me in contact with Brittany, who had written a really nice piece. I think, was it on The Mighty? I think it was on the website called The Mighty.
Yeah.
And essentially she was saying that the way that the media keeps telling the story of disability, it needs to stop, because it just does not represent the vast majority of people in this community, in this space. And it really lit me up. I read that and I thought, this is really important. This is the kind of information, this is the kind of stuff that I'm looking for, because I want this to be a real story that has real meaning, and especially to the people that are most affected by it.